This is Sandra along with T the Man and S Hacker. Happy New Year, everybody. It's 20.
Happy New Year, Sandra. How you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Absolutely. We're so glad to be back, and we're glad that you're back with us. And we've had a nice vacation. T the Man, you had your family in Florida, and you had a great time. Sherry, you had a good one?
Yes, I did.
Absolutely. Santa Claus came, right? Santa Claus came?
Hey, Santa Claus always comes.
Yeah, and Santa Claus leaves a bill. If you don't know, Santa Claus leaves a bill. I'm not feeling Santa.
Well, you know, while we were off, there were a lot of things that happened. Of course, we have to talk about the House of Representatives, and we have to talk about Nancy Pelosi having the gavel again, and we need to talk a little bit about this government shutdown. So first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Nancy Pelosi is back in power, and her and Chuck Schumer are trying to negotiate with the president regarding the government shutdown. It's been about going on 3 weeks now, isn't it? That the government is down, and these workers aren't getting paid. T the Man, if you were a government worker, how would you feel? Because the president says that they're on his side, and I think he's lying.
Listen, we know Trump is lying. You're not getting paid. You got bills due. Your mortgage is due. Your car payment is due. Their health insurance is due. Nobody's paying that. And then he's talking about they're happy. Who's he talking about? I mean, really, Donald Trump's a liar. He's the reason why he did it, and he's came out and said it, is because he feels the most government workers are Democrats. So it's okay for them to suffer. And that's why he's doing it.
As Hacker, how do you feel about President Trump shutting down the government and not letting these people get paid because of this stupid border wall of his?
Again, my thing is, right, he campaigned on, and all of his supporters was like, yeah, we're going to build a wall. Who's going to pay for it? Mexico, right? Mexico has nothing to do with the functioning of our government. If that was truly your campaign promise, then Mexico should be paying for the walls. There should be no shutdown, right? Because they were supposed to pay for it. So, and then he says that the majority of federal workers are Democrats. That's idiotic. These are Americans who work for the federal government. Our federal government should operate in an efficient manner since he's this so-called great businessman, right? And remember when the government shut down under Barack Obama? He said Barack Obama should be fired. Well, it goes again for him. He should be fired.
Well, he did say on Fox News that anytime that there's a government shutdown, that the president is responsible. Now, he owned the shutdown, but now they're trying to turn it around and say that, you know, it's not the, Trump shutdown, it's the Pelosi and Schumer shutdown, but nobody believes that.
Oh, it's their shutdown because they won't give in and be held hostage and take the ransom because of what he says. I mean, now he's talking about he want to do like, we're going to do a national emergency. So I'm going to get the money from Congress that way. And I'm just going to say this. The way that I understand it, and I could be wrong, if he declares a national emergency, he still has to go to Congress for the money. If Congress decides that we're not going to give you the money, we don't think it's a national emergency, you're going to go to the court. Even if the Supreme Court says it's been declared a national emergency at the border, and if the Congress, because they're going to vote on it, and they say, no, we're not going to give you the damn money, what are they going to do? Nothing. They can't do nothing.
Exactly, because Congress controls the purse strings.
Right, and if Congress decides, and there are equal co-branch of government.
Right.
He doesn't dictate to Congress what they should do. The Supreme Court can make the laws that say it's either legal or illegal, but that we haven't had this before. So if Congress decides and says, hey, we're not going to give you this false narrative or this money from the wall, this $25 billion that you will want, because he's not going to ask for $5 billion, he's going to ask for $25 billion. And then he's going to say, we're not going to give you the money. What is Trump going to do? And even though the court can order Congress to do it, what are they going to do? Hold the whole Congress in contempt? Not going to happen.
Well, he says he's willing to hold out if it takes years, in which I just don't believe that even the GOP is going to go with that. I think they recognize that this is no reason for these people not to be paid. When Nancy Pelosi got in office, one of the things they did is they passed about 6 bills, and they passed them out individually, so he could actually sign for them to continue to.
Well, he doesn't want to do this. This is a
but
political.
he doesn't want to do that
because obviously, if they say, "Well, we don't want to shut down the government," that's what we agree on. Let's pass those bills, and then let's argue about the wall funding. He doesn't want that.
No, he doesn't.
Not want that. Not at all.
Because again, excuse me, it's all or nothing with him. Either I get it all my way or nothing.
Right. And everything is to his advantage. And then, of course, he would say, after he got his way, he says, oh, Nancy Pelosi was easy. You know, they were easy, rolled over. Because he's all about, you know, putting salt in the wound after you're done. But you know what? Here's another thing he don't like, but he can't do nothing about. They changed the house rules. So now people of Muslim descent can wear their headscarves in the chamber.
Yes, and we got new representatives that are doing that, and I just think that's awesome. You know what? There's been a lot of controversy with the new people coming in. We got AOC; they pulling out videos of her dancing, trying to shame her, which all that stuff is going viral. We also had one of the representatives come out and say that she's going to effing impeach Donald Trump, and he had nerve enough to feel some kind of way. And you know what? I just thought it was apropos, and I just thought I agree so much with Nancy Pelosi saying, well, how do you feel about, you know, this young lady coming out saying that? She said, you know what? It's no worse than what Donald Trump has said. He certainly dropped the F-bomb many times when he was campaigning. But on top of that, she said that I believe that what he said about John McCain was far worse than what she said. And you know what? I'm glad that she stood her ground, didn't throw old girl, under the bus, said, you know what? It's not the way I speak. It's not the way I would express myself. But for real, he's the last person to try to have some kind of moral high ground.
Trump doesn't have any moral high ground. You know, Trump's a liar. He's always going to be a liar. And then he's going to sit there and all these Republicans is talking about, with this thing, anguish that, oh, she's using profanity. You know what? Actions speak louder than words. So that's all I can say. And their actions are profound and it's profane. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
I agree.
So the Kevin Hart controversy hasn't stopped. Apparently he did a whole hour with Ellen the other day. And a lot of people are up in arms about the interview. They feel like the interview that was done with Ellen didn't quite speak to actually what really happened. They said that the Oscars told him, they said, listen, if you apologize, then you could do the show. And they're still open for Kevin Hart to do the show. But what happened was they really went back on his Twitter feed and they said that, you know what, he said that he would no longer say the homophobic jokes because the atmosphere has changed, which means it's not good for his brand for him to be saying that and people aren't finding it as funny anymore. But that he never actually said the words, I'm sorry. And apparently on this interview, Ellen didn't hold him to that. She kind of, just kind of regurgitated all of the things.
I saw the interview.
She still wants him to host it. People are upset about it.
You know, he said he apologized. Don Lemon came out there and criticized, and he felt that whatever he said wasn't enough because, as he said, Ellen don't speak for all gay people. Neither does Don Lemon. Now, my question to you and to you too, as Hacker, is who does he owe the apologize to? Does he owe it to the whole gay community, or does he owe it to the person who he insulted?
It's not, I don't think it's a matter of who he owes it to. It's a matter of you said that you apologized and you didn't. It's not a matter of who he said it to. It's the fact that he said, well, I said I'm sorry, but you actually didn't say I'm sorry. And that's the heart and the crux of the issue. I don't give a damn if he apologizes to his kid or not. But if you say, hey, I said I'm sorry and you didn't, it's either you have an act of contrition.
Well, I guess it gets down to the nuances. Exactly.
Well, you know what? It gets down to the nuances of the Oscars too, because the Oscars will not allow him to host until he actually says those.
Well, you know what? He backed out. He said he wasn't going to apologize, basically. And he said, I'm done. You can
exactly.
Go
so
now Ellen is saying, no, you shouldn't do that. This should be a teachable moment. You should go ahead and host the show because she felt, in her words, was that he would give them leverage. So, I mean, I don't know.
The Oscars don't agree with it. And the bottom line is this: is that he did come out and say, "I'm not going to say I'm sorry," and that's what this whole thing is about. You know, when you
I thought he came out and said, "I'm not going to apologize again." I thought that's what he said.
That's the quote.
Yeah, but he actually never did say I'm sorry.
Right, you know, and it's just like this. You know, you got Don Lemon, one gay person, black male, saying that you should say I'm sorry. You got Ellen, a gay person who's female, saying, well, I accept your apology. I want to give you a second chance. You know, it's down to nuances. I don't know where, we know the answer is somewhere in the middle. And I guess he has his own personal pride and reasons why he feels that if he says that he's being held hostage. So he chose not to do it that way. So
I'm good with him not hosting the Oscars. I think that it really won't hurt his brand among black people. We tend to, you know, side with people and forgive very quickly. So I don't have a problem with him not doing it. I don't think he apologized, and I don't think that, you know, Ellen needs to try to, you know, continue getting them to try to have him host it. There's plenty of other talented people that can host it.
Right.
And
again, his whole interview with Ellen wasn't just about the whole Oscar thing. He was there to promote a movie.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, and you know what? That's supposed to be a really good movie, the movie that got coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Again, but that was like, you know, part of, how could you not have that conversation when you're here promoting this movie?
Well, he's going to be on a lot of talk shows this week promoting this movie. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't think this is going to be the end of it. So, you know, we're going to hear more from Kevin Hart. So it's an issue. It hasn't been resolved, except Kevin Hart has resolved it the way he wants to do it. So that's the bottom line. So then, of course, we have our favorite Predator. 7 months ago, we did a show, or was it 9 months ago? I forget.
We dropped it on 420.
On R. Kelly. And me and you both saw the documentary, Sandra. You know, these women, it's their Me Too moment. This documentary is giving them a voice. I found some ingenuous things that some of the people said, because I know from personal experience.
Disingenuous?
People that know them personally.
You mean
said that this was a false thing that they were saying. But the bottom line is that they all agree, and we all agree, R. Kelly is a predator. R. Kelly needs to be in jail. This 14-year-old girl that he had sex with, her parents pimped her out. They took his money and they ghosted. So then we can go into the other things about her aunt Sparkle. You know, that, you know, she said she didn't take the money because maybe it wasn't enough money for her. I don't know what it is, you know. But we know R. Kelly is a predator.
Couldn't be bought.
And I don't understand these young women. You see these celebrities thinking that they're good and wholesome. And when you know there's something shady about them from the beginning. It's not just R. Kelly. You had Michael Jackson. You got Kevin Spacey. There's Harvey Weinstein. There's a whole lot of these men out there that are predators. And they're going to look for somebody this week.
If not today.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
again, I've always had a problem with R. Kelly. Right? I've never been a fan. But years ago, I'm talking years ago, when the first instant came out that, you know, R. Kelly liked little girls. Right? And then because again, I saw that interview, I forgot who it was with. And they asked him, like, they're like, hey, I understand you like young women. And as opposed to
they asked him, do you like teenagers? And he said, what do you mean?
Again, the one I saw was, I heard you like young women. And then his response, as opposed to like, no, I like women, grown women. He was like, how young is young?
Yeah.
If you have to ask that question, yeah, you have a problem. And that's been years ago, right? So I don't have any doubt that one particular person that they were talking about in that instance, that it wasn't many, many more. Because again, this dude has toured and toured and toured, probably in every city. He was looking out for little girls. Right. And little girls can't consent. And yet,
No,
what
no,
kind
they
of a
can't.
male are you that you need little girls?
Yeah, he in the documentary, which was 3 parts, it was 6 hours. I found myself really riveted and just sad, but at the same time, really felt like it was so important for these women to come out and tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
And they went back to the interview that he did one with Teray, and I know he did one with Ed Gordon too, but the one with Teray.
That's the one I saw, the one with Ed Gordon.
Yeah, the one with Ed Gordon, I think is the one that you're talking about. But the one with Teray, they had, and when they asked, he asked him, he said, "Do you like teenage girls?" They said the guy in the background, he came out and he said, "No, you can't answer him that. You can't ask him that." And R. Kelly said, "No, I want to address it." He said, "What do you mean by young girls?" He said, "I'm talking teenage girls." He said, "Well, I don't like nobody that's not of age." We have known that he is a predator. We have known for years, listening to his music, that R. Kelly is a great talent. They went back and they talked to his teacher. His teacher, he dropped out of high school. We know that R. Kelly is not able to read and write and add. The show goes into
Even
the
his
fact
wife
that,
said that.
yeah, it goes into, but his brother said it too, and his brother said that he caught him crying. They were raised in Ardell Gardens, team. They were raised in Ardell Gardens. He caught him crying, and he's saying that he was upset that the kids kept teasing him because he had problems with reading. And but his music teacher spoke about R. Kelly, and she has mentored DeBrat and a lot of other famous Chicago artists, and she said that when he would propose music to do for shows that they had there in high school, that she told him a lot of the music that he couldn't do because it was too sexually suggestive. R. Kelly has come out and said that he himself was sexually abused. His brother said that he was sexually abused. He was sexually abused by a man down the street and supposedly by a female that was in the family. And we know that oftentimes, well, most times when you find a person who is being abusive to people, that they themselves have been abused.
And they're just doing the reenactment of the abuse that was upon them. But you know what? That's no excuse. And this little girl that R. Kelly had sex with and made the sex tape with he was a friend of the family. He had seen that little girl since she was a very, very young child.
She was 12, T. She was 12, not 14.
She was 12 or whatever it is. But he'd been knowing the family since that child was like 4. He's seen her grow up. And so then he took advantage of her. And you know what? And I'm just going to say that her family, her parents, her father, because he played with R. Kelly, knew some of this behavior that he was exhibiting looked the other way. And he didn't have a problem with it until it was his daughter.
Exactly.
And then he took the money and he disappeared.
They think they went out the country for a year or two.
Yeah, and it's hard to hold a trial because R. Kelly had the trial, and some of those clips that you saw when they got like little sound bites, I was there. I was behind that camera, so I saw what all happened. These young girls, it was like a rock star. He's like a rock star. They were crying, they were weeping, they were going on, they were in love with R. Kelly. They felt that, it was the man out to get R. Kelly and stuff. And he had a good lawyer. He had Sam Adams Jr. As you notice, as so far as I've seen, his lawyer has not spoken. And Sam Adams Sr., they have not spoken about R. Kelly. Their thing was to seed doubt to the jury, and they did. They picked the jury, they seeded the doubt, they saw about the way she dressed and all like this. You may not have seen the tape. We had somebody at the tape, we were viewing it. We called, at the time, the police department. We talked to Terry Hilliard, who was the chief of Chicago Police. He says, having possession of that tape is child pornography. So station and people had it, turn it over to the police. Say, hey, this is a copy that's being sold on the streets. And it was.
Yeah, they were showing that.
I just say that what I saw was that she didn't look as young as they portrayed her as she actually is. But that's the matter, because you have a lot of young girls who have a body of a woman, but they're young girls.
And children.
And R. Kelly took advantage of her. And he knew how old she was. There wasn't no doubt.
Exactly.
He knew. And I blame, her aunt should have said, like, why are you here? You ain't supposed to say why you here. You think if my young niece was up there with something like R. Kelly and I'm there playing and she come here? Oh, hell no. That don't fly. And Sandra, you would let that happen to your niece?
Well, you know what, T, I'm going to say this, listen to the show. Sparkle said that she regrets that she ever introduced R. Kelly to her family. She regrets that because she said he ruined her family. She was an up-and-coming artist. Her niece, she said, was just as talented as the Brad and a lot of other people. She really wanted to see if R. Kelly could help her as R. Kelly was helping Sparkle, which, Sparkle had a big hit with R. Kelly. And she herself really felt like it ruined her family, them meeting. At the same time, he lured her. She said she would go to the studio and hear her niece was there. And she said, well, how did you get here? Why are you here? You know what? R. Kelly is a predator. He was communicating with the young girl outside of Sparkle, because Sparkle never intended for her niece to be with R. Kelly. And a lot of the parents said that. I mean, you're talking about 6 hours worth of documentary.
Oh, yeah.
Every one of those parents, every one of them said that, you know what? I never meant for my daughter to be alone with this man. They never meant for them to be negotiating and doing business with R. Kelly. But R. Kelly, and then when I found out that not only was this young lady Sparkle's niece, but that her brother, Sparkle's brother, has played guitar with R. Kelly in the band, she said that, you know what, it broke her family up. She didn't talk to her family for 10 years. She said she can't say that her brother and her sister-in-law were paid, but she said, listen, something happened because they tried to pay me, and she said I couldn't be bought. They wanted me to come out and say that, there was nothing wrong with R. Kelly, that he did nothing wrong, but she said she couldn't come out and say that, and she said it really broke up her family. I mean, it really touched my heart. I really felt like Sparkle realized that she made a mistake, but you know what? Her brother's a piece of crap. Her sister-in-law's a piece of crap. If they wouldn't come out and testify against R. Kelly during the trial, he dragged that trial out 5 or 6 years. See, we can be angry about something right now, but you drag it out 5 or 6 years, people become less angry, people forget, and it was just heartbreaking to see.
All right, well, let's talk about some good news. We got some good news here to talk about. We have Barack, Michelle, and Oprah being I guess there was a survey saying the most admired people, most respected people. And they are in the top 3. Actually, Barack was number 1. I believe Michelle might have been number 1, and Oprah was number 3. I don't know. They somehow they got Melania Trump in there, but I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, but her percentage was so small.
Yeah,
like 6 or 7%.
Yeah,
right.
But and the fact that Michelle's book tour is doing good. Barack, he's on Lin-Manuel of Hamilton. So, and plus his playlist is, everybody's going to it. So, yes, the former president, and we can probably say that he's a president, is doing very well, very respected, and along with his wife.
Now, the former first lady.
Occupant, he's telling more lies, but the good thing is, the lies he tell, he's going to have to answer to them with truth. Because somebody going to do it.
They're coming for him.
Exactly. And again, and now with, being in control of the House gives you investigative and subpoena powers. They're coming for him and they're going to get him.
Absolutely.
Because the first 2 years he had it easy. The Republicans were not investigating him in the House of Representatives. But all that has changed now. It's a brave new world, brand new year. Let's get it started.
Yeah, let's get it done. Let's do it. And this is we're gonna get it done. So we're gonna have to all get together and just figure out, what we're gonna do to get it done. So
exactly.
I'm glad everybody, is starting off their new year on a good upbeat note. I'm hoping everybody glad to see you as happy that you're a lot healthier. You've been has some medical issues, but you look like you're back in the ring, you're knocking people out, and you're fighting hard. And of course, Sandra, you know, I know
uppercut.
You're a fighter, survivor, activist, all the good synonyms that, you know, a person who's truly a good person all around.
I'm an abolitionist.
Yeah.
Take you back.
All right. We're going to build a new underground railroad.
That's right.
Well, I don't know. We may not even go underground. We just might do a hyperloop, you know, just get them there.
Exactly.
So, anyway, this is the man for Sandra Tucker and S Hacker. This is goodbye from Lee Street Beat, and I hope everybody is having a great New Year and had a wonderful Christmas, and be kind to one another, stay safe, and be happy as you can be. Until then, this is Lee Street.
Peace out.